It's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. Oh. I'm okay. It's okay. Today, I got my hands on a paper launch, the Sabrent Rocket 4 Plus. Oh, and we're also going to look at the other 3 components that will cause you a massive amount of headache if you don't inspect them before starting to build your rig. I am TheGrayingTech, a gaming insider, and if you would like to learn how to improve your gaming performance, start now by clicking that subscribe button. In this video today, we're going to take a look at the 5950X. I finally got my hands on this guy. The Asus Crosshair Hero 8 Wi-Fi enabled motherboard, and the NVMe drive. And I'm going to show you how I would inspect each of these components in a lab-like environment in order to ensure that my future self doesn't have the annoyances and the pain of having to disassemble the hardest to install components of your system. The motherboard is called the motherboard for a reason. It is the heart and soul of your computer. Yes, the GPU and the CPU do tend to get all of the glory and the fear-mongering, but if this right here is not secure, if this right here has bent pins, broken surface-mounted devices, you're gonna have a bad day. So I give this woman extra scrutiny to make sure that she is completely capable of performing inside of my chassis before I start my build process. Inside the box, you will immediately notice an electrostatic discharge material of some sort. In this case, they used PET, that's a type of plastic, and coated it with an anti-static material in order to basically prevent any kind of damage from my hands and the equipment that's around it and the things that get transported. So, taking off this nice little tray, we can see the motherboard. Now, I have already been inside here. I have already been modifying things, as you can see. I will discuss how I painted this in a future episode that you're definitely going to want to check out. The first thing that I immediately go to, though, is the socket itself. I want to make sure that inside of here, there's no dirt, grit, contamination of any kind, that the action itself is smooth and linear, and that all of these surface-mounted devices around the CPU is in proper place. I then take a look along the perimeter and make sure that each of the pins are properly vertically aligned, that nothing is bent, bulged, dented, has any kind of damage as well. Third, I look at the connectors. I want to make sure that the 24 pin, that the USB headers, that the RAM slots and the PCI-E slots all look good. I want to make sure that there is no chance that when I install further components in here that the motherboard might damage those components. I look at the heat sinks and make sure that I can see that they are touching all of the chokes in this particular instance. And when I pick the board up, I want to make sure that each of the VRMs are touched by a thermal pad as well. It's not the chokes that I'm most concerned with. It's the VRMs that are going to get extra heat and need some level of cooling. And I take a look at the back of the PCB. I want to make sure that all of the channels look proper. I want to make sure that nothing looks scorched, burnt, cut, damaged in any way, shape, or form. I take a look at the USB ports. I take a look at all of the I/O stuff on the back. Are the ports aligned? Is everything in the proper position? Is everything looking okay? You're essentially just giving things a cursory glance so that you know ahead of time if you should keep this board or if you should return it. If the motherboard looks okay, I move on to the next most annoying thing in a computer that is to replace, and that would be this guy right here. The 5950X from AMD. I do not wish to discuss what lengths I had to go to in order to obtain this. Let's just say that my wife and family are upset that I wasn't with them for a large portion of the holiday break. Sorry. Inside of here, you want to first make sure that this AMD logo right here is proper. There are people that are printing out stickers and putting a copper penny behind it and then sending this box back after it has been sealed. The next thing that I look for is any damage to the box itself. Now there is an indent right here on this box. I'm not as worried about that particular indent. As I inspected it further, it doesn't appear like anything could have gone in significantly. Now, inside of this box, you're going to see something that would make Frito-Lay so jealous. A whole lot of air. Obviously, these boxes are just for marketing purposes to get us excited about the product when we actually see it on shelves, which might happen in 2023, I believe. Inside of here, this is the most important part. This is the processor. Then the rest of the contents of the box itself are just literature that most people will just simply throw away. Thank you, AMD and the regulation agencies that basically increase my recycling. When you get the processor and you start taking a look at it, you want to make sure that the corners are okay, that there is no damage to this plastic shroud that protects the processor in transit and provides a level of electrostatic discharge. You want to make sure that the PCB, each of the corners themselves are proper, square, super square. They need to be perfectly square in order for you to have assurances that nothing has been damaged or potentially broken. Then I start to examine the ISH, Integrated Heat Spreader. Each of the chips that are inside of here is about the size of a dime. And each of those dimes connects to a piece of thermal compound that then connects to this integrated heat spreader. And this is what transfers the heat from those chips all the way out to the heat spreader and heat sinks that you're going to install on top of this. I want to make sure that my IHS doesn't have any markings or anything that's out of place, that the corners are properly squared off, that everything looks to be as proper as possible. Then turn it upside down and hold it up against a brightish light so that you can see through all of the pins. And you're going to align your eyes so that as you're sweeping left to right, you're going to be able to look down each row of pins. You want to make sure that everything appears in line, perfect orientation. Then turn it 90 degrees along the Z-axis and do the same exact thing. You want to make sure that all of those pins can be completely seen through with no blockage or any kind of misalignment. If everything on your chip looks good, the last thing that you want to test is levelness. In order to do that, I'm going to break out a razor blade. You want a super sharp razor blade, preferably fresh out of the box. Clear it of any potential grease or any kind of hazard. And then you are going to measure corner to corner and side to side with this razor blade. You absolutely are not going to move it in a cutting fashion. This could damage the IHS, could gouge, could score the IHS itself, making you basically have to work harder in the future in order to cover up those mistakes when it comes to performance overclocking. Now you're going to take your time and you're going to measure corner to corner, giving it a slight rocking motion, and look down along the edge. You want to make sure that you aren't able to see light underneath the razor blade's edge. If you are, that does present either a convex or a concave situation. In this particular instance, I can see that the center of the IHS is about 0.5 millimeter higher than 3 of the corners. That could pose a potential problem when it comes to cooling down the road. Do you have any horror stories that you want to share in the comments below? I'll have a few of mine down there, and if you want to join, please feel free to do so. The last item is that Rocket 4 Plus. Now, I wasn't lying. This right here, guys, is the definition of a paper launch. I realize one of my former bosses is in a little bit of heat for some of the comments that he has made. I will not attempt to defend him in this video. I will simply say these guys launched a product and 95 days later you could buy it. AMD has launched 2 products and within a couple of weeks. Yes, it was a pain in the butt, but you could actually purchase these products. And if you are finding that you are struggling to get your hands on this elusive hardware, I have 2 videos to help give you some extra tips to beat the bots and beat the scalpers. You can check that video out right there. I keep doing that. It's right there. Or down in the description below at the end of the video. Inside, you'll see some literature, and I'm happy to see electrostatic discharge material in the form of black foam. Now that's really cool. I want to see that kind of stuff anytime there is circuitry that is going to contact something. Give me the plastic, give me the foam, give me something that is protecting the components. And here is the Rocket 4 Plus. You'll notice on the back, it is just a general sticker. Not too much going on there. On the front, you have yet another sticker, and you can see all of the pins. Now you want to make sure that all of these connectors look good. Nothing is bent, nothing is broken, and nothing has been chemically altered, like when you touch gold with your fingers. If all of that looks good, you move on to the second investigation, and then that's looking at all of the edges of the PCB, making sure you don't see any cracks, any damage points. You want to make sure that this entire edge, everything looks good in terms of what you can see. All of the surface mounted devices are properly there. They're not askew, they're not hanging loose, they don't appear damaged in any way. The last item that you want to take a look at is this sticker right here. This sticker right here, you immediately want to look at this sticker and then do nothing with it. No, seriously, don't mess with the sticker. HDcooling.net has already done the analysis, and what their data shows is leaving these stickers or pieces of paper or whatever on top of these chips will not hurt your performance. It's going to increase the temperature by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius, which in the majority of cases, even under full load, even under long periods of use, isn't going to cause performance degradation from these chips just getting too hot. Everything that is around these designs has anticipated that this sticker is going to be on top of it. Additionally, as somebody in Tom's Hardware forums already noted, if you're trying to remove these stickers and something comes off, you're probably going to have a very bad day. The sticker is touching a lot of surface mounted devices, and you can rip those off by simply trying to remove the sticker. Again, not worth it. After inspecting these critical components, it's now time to get ready to run a bench test for all of this. And in order to do that, I have to assemble the major components of my build for Project Red Star. And I'm going to be doing that in the video right there.